It's spooky season. Ooh. It's another spooky review of a horror movie. We're all doing this in October. Don't look at me like that. This is every movie YouTuber is reviewing horror movies in some fashion. Anyway, click subscribe on me because obviously I'm doing it right. Spooky season. That's what I'm going with. Sticking with it. I'm gonna brand that, and we're gonna talk about 30 Days of Night. This was my first time seeing it. I did not see this when I could see when I was in theaters, and this was back when we were trying. This movie is so old. We were trying to make Josh Hartnett and Melissa George film stars. So. Josh Hartnett was he was a film star for a little while. That's a little unfair. But if I told you there was a movie coming out today that starred Josh Hartnett and Melissa George, I think you'd be like, is it on Netflix? Is it a Netflix original? Where did this unfortunate task come from? Interestingly, I knew nothing about this film. Truly, I kind of remember trailers and stuff from back in the day, but I don't know. I just didn't want to watch this film. Maybe it was the cast. Maybe it was just like, I don't know, Josh Hartnett and Melissa George, and all right. But I did not know that this was from the director of Hard Candy, which hilariously has absolutely nothing to do with 30 Days of Night. I'm thinking, wait a minute, so they directed Hard... So somebody thought they should direct this? Like, what a leap. And then I love that after this, they were hired to direct Twilight Eclipse. Like, not just the first Twilight film. They didn't direct that. It's like, somebody was like, in the middle of the Twilight franchise, and they were like, we need to step our game up. People are not taking these vampires seriously. Who can we get? Let's get that guy that did 30 Days of Night. That was really violent. It was about vampires. And they're like, yes, he will make the ultimate epic Twilight movie. He totally gets us. He gets what we're trying to do here. He understands the sparkling. I have a feeling that they just didn't watch 30 Days of Night, the people who made that choice. They knew it was about vampires, and they were like, yes, get him. He knows vampires very well, obviously. So this is about vampires. So it totally fits for the month. This is a vampire flick for the month. Yay! Yay, go us. We found a vampire flick. Has audio description from Deluxe. And it's good audio description. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. The film is pretty simple. There's a town in Alaska. Now, I don't know why they bothered telling us that there's a town, because this kind of happens all over Alaska because of where they are, that they have like a lot of time when they spend with it being 24 hours of sun and also 24 hours of darkness. So, but we're led to believe that there's this town that experiences 30 Days of Night. And it gets plunged every year into this darkness. And they have been for years. Just like, I don't know, like normal stuff. I want to see the prequel of this, like 30 Days of Night the year before. And it's just like people walking around and being like, hey, what's up? It's dark again today. Oh yeah, it is. Look at that. And then all of a sudden this year, they get attacked by vampires. It's not really a lot of explanation as to why. As a matter of fact, the vampires don't even really know why they're attacking. They're really vague in their statements. There's Marlowe or something is like the leader of the vampires. And he's constantly saying shit like, we should have done this earlier. It's like, then why did you do this here? It's not like one of those things where they went for like the, every In every generation, there is a slayer. Every 50 years, this town gets completely wiped off the face of the planet by vampires. You know, it's nothing like that. It's just, they're like, we're behind in our duties. What a pain in the ass. We were supposed to be here years ago. But Dave over there, fucking Dave, his stupid face. And then they make references later on too. They're like, they're worried about, see, they don't leave victims and they're not here to turn people. So that's what makes it different. It's just a bloodbath. It's just super gory. I'm not even really sure they're here to feed. Sometimes they just kill people for the fun of it. It's just like there aren't like solid references always to them feeding every time they attack somebody. Sometimes they just attack somebody and just fuck them up. Just just like rip their head off or something. I don't know. Are they drinking from like the stub at the top? I have, no idea. But yeah, it's just like they're here for violence, violence for violence sake. So and the thing that's so weird is that they mentioned that they should have done this earlier. Like they missed, it was supposed to be done in a previous year or something. Like they're like, we're supposed to do this last year. We forgot it was. And then later on, they say something about how they're like, it took us centuries to get them to forget us. As sort of like reasoning. Took us centuries to make them forget us and believe that we were just nightmares, I believe is the actual line. And I was thinking, so you're not going to come back for centuries? Centuries. First of all, let's explore that word centuries in terms of Alaska. This movie was made in this movie came out in 2007, right? So centuries ago, the fuck was in Alaska? What was in Barrow, Alaska centuries ago? Even if we took centuries to mean only 2. So if they did this 200 years ago, and they're a little late on this one, so they weren't even supposed to do it in 2007. They were supposed to do this in probably 2005, 2006 at least, right? So 200 years ago, we're talking about 1885, basically. You go 19 goes back 1, 18 goes back 2. That's your 2 centuries. That's how you get plural. So it's at least 1805. We didn't even own Alaska in 1805. We hadn't settled Alaska. So did the last time they did this wipe out a whole bunch of Inuit people? And then if so, what was before that? What was in the 1600s? This is supposed to be this should be culture shock for these vampires. They should be like, damn, we haven't been here in centuries. What the is here? What is this? I thought it was just such a stupid line. I was like, what? It took you... Either you guys come out more frequently than that, and these people kind of have an idea. They're like, the monsters are back. This is one of those annoying films where nobody seems to know what a vampire is, and they have no idea how to fight them. So we live in some sort of alternate reality where nobody has ever seen a Dracula or anything like that. That's what when they're talking about it took them centuries for them to forget us. In Alaska? Or just in general. Were you hiding somewhere else? I'm so interested in this lore that they're trying to create here, because they've chosen this remote area because they're like, this would be really cool if we do this in this remote area. But then when they say these lines, they don't make any sense. and definitely if they did make sense, These people, these vampires that reemerged 200 years later, should be really impressed with what the Inuit people were able to do with Alaska. Because they wouldn't know about all of, they wouldn't know like American history, like colonization and everything, and Seward's Folly and all that. It would just be like, oh my God, is that a diner? What? They have electricity here? What is this? Anyway, yeah, it's a very, it's one of those movies that when you look at it and when you just like, but the problem is I didn't even have to wait until the movie was over. They would just say something, I'd be like, that line doesn't make any sense. They'd say something, I'd be like, I don't know, that line doesn't, I have no idea what you're trying to do here. But horror movie fans, yeah, it's bloody, it's violent, and lots of people die. So check that one off your list. If that is what you're looking for, go for it. Is it particularly smart? I don't know. Not really. I have a lot of questions about the whole setup for this whole thing, and why now, and why this town, and where did they come from, and why does it take them centuries? Stuff like that. It wasn't really jump scares, but it can be. There's a couple moments in there that I would call maybe a jump scare. So most of it is just like, unexpected violence. The violence is a little bit heavier than what you think it's going to be. You're like, oh, they're going to attack. Oh, shit, they just ripped the fucking head off. Okay, we're getting hardcore. Yeah, it is. It is, it's just a little bit more violent and a little bit more gory than possible. But, I mean, the film opens up with people who know that this 30 Days of Night is coming, right? And so people are leaving. And so, like, the plot of the film is, I guess, like, some people left, and then they'll be back. Like, some people stick it out. So, what the vampires are trying to do is to wipe out the town and then, like, destroy it and get rid of it so that it doesn't even exist. So people come back and, like, their whole town is gone. Just, like, they're like, what the hell happened in 30 days? The whole town is gone. Because they don't want remnants. They don't want it to look like, they don't want these bodies to, have some sort of coroner's report. As if somebody can't tell that somebody was decapitated. And that seems a little bit strange, all things considered. They don't just usually happen. I don't know if vampires know this or not. Maybe they just like live in a sort of world where decapitations just are like commonplace. They're like, just decapitated that deer over there. That's what I do. But it doesn't usually happen that way. So it's very weird. Yeah, nobody knows what a vampire is. Nobody knows how to fight it. It's a very frustrating movie because of that. Because there are so many times where you're like, guys, these are vampires. Do you know what you're doing here? No, okay. They have no idea what they're doing. They do not know what a vampire is. They do not know how to fight one, and it's very frustrating. But it's very violent, very gory, so it checks off those boxes for a nice Halloween treat. Audio description totally went in as much as it could on the violence and gore. And these are not Twilight vampires either. These are not vampires that are pretty. These aren't vampires that are like ever conflicted about anything that they're doing. They're never like, I really like this guy. Like, they're never like, ooh, look at that girl, she's hot, I should make out with her first before I kill her. They're like, no, we don't discriminate. We're just here to fuck shit up. That's all we're gonna do. We're just gonna annihilate this entire place and everyone in it. And it's pretty clear. And that's what I like about this film, is the clear direction and choices made in that, is that they have one mission. I don't know why they have the mission, but they have a mission, and it's to wipe this town off the face of the planet. So, and they're super powered, so totally OP, super strength and everything, and yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Ben Foster's in this. It's not a very big role. I didn't even think. I didn't look. I did not IMDb this before watching this. I IMDb'd it afterwards, and I was like, that was Ben Foster. I mean, it tracks because it feels like the kind of role that Ben Foster would have really committed to, but at the same time, I don't know that I needed Ben Foster in that role, but he was in it. So he's also in this film. He's not the star, so if you're a big Ben Foster fan, it wouldn't be the reason to see this. If this would be like if you were really lamenting the fact that Hollywood failed to turn Melissa George into the next, I don't know, whoever, or why Josh Hartnett isn't still an A-lister. So that's 30 Days a Night. It's time for me to grade this. I think if you just accept what this is, you'll have fun with it. If you analyze it too much, you're gonna have some problems, because this film is not meant to be analyzed. This film really just cannot be scrutinized. The plot is kind of silly. There's some silly things that these characters say and do, and choices, and it is one of those worlds where they live in and they don't know. We see these films from time to time where like they're fighting off zombies, but they never heard what a zombie is. So they're just like, what is that? I don't know. Jill's eating her husband in the front lawn. That's so weird. Ah. Didn't she die? Yes, she did. She died yesterday. I don't know what's happening. What is this? You're like, God damn it, have they never seen a zombie? They have no idea, no contextual reference. Okay, I guess I can live in this world where this has never been in media before. Nobody ever thought about making it. So all of those movies gone out the window. Nobody ever wrote Dracula in the 30 Days of Night universe. So, but if you're comfortable with that, you'll have some violence. I'm a little less comfortable with that, so my score is going to skew a little bit lower, because I laughed too many times in a film I'm not supposed to laugh. But it delivers on the promise. I thought the action sequences and the violence were great. So, yeah, I mean, this is exactly what it's supposed to be for Halloween. So I can't begrudge that part either. I'm not sure it's the smartest film in the world. Acting's fine. So I'm going to give 30 Days of Night a B-. Most of that has to do with the silliness. It's actually pretty well structured. Like, everything else is pretty well, but man, if they had just come back around and just tried to think about the lore of what it was that they were creating. I think this is why there's no sequel. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why there's no 30 Days of Night franchise. Is because they were like, I don't know how do we do this? How do we franchise? And I was like, I don't know. The Jeepers Creepers guy isn't supposed to come out every so many years, and he's been in like 5 movies. So just make it happen. If you want to ignore the lore that you've set up, that these guys come out centuries later, yeah, just do it. Just let them come out each year they wipe out a new Alaskan town or something. I don't know. Maybe one year they go down to Miami just for funsies. They have one night in Miami. That was a movie. Solid movie reference. Come on, that was a solid movie reference. That was, people probably forgot about that movie. It was a pandemic movie. It's okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And, yeah, this is what I'm going to do in October. So hopefully you click subscribe. I do have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it now. Probably by the time this video posts, it'll be something else. Instagram or threads at Mac the Movie Guy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org, that's the adna.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for this film. Yeah, at least it has audio description out there in the world if you find 30 Days of Night. So get on it. And I will see you guys on the other side.